I am Dr. Shipra Dua, Associate Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication from Jagannath University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. I will discuss radio formats. There are another formats, social advertisements. Social advertisements, or if we talk about radio advertisements, or we can call it radio spots. Radio ads, also known as radio spots, are short advertisements broadcasted on radio stations to promote products, services, events, or brands. They are designed to capture the attention of the listeners and persuade them to take a specific action, such as making a purchase, attending an event, or visiting a website. Here are some key characteristics of radio advertisements. First is length. Radio advertisements are typically short, ranging from a few seconds to a minute in length. The duration of the advertisement depends on the budget and specific requirements of the advertiser. Scripting. Radio advertisements require a well crafted script that effectively communicates the message within the limited time available. The script should be concise, engaging, and tailored to the target audience. Voiceovers. Professional voiceovers, artists or actors are employed to deliver the script and bring the advertisement to life. The voiceover should be clear, energetic, and align with the desired tone and brand image. Another component is sound effects and music. Sound effects and background music may be incorporated into radio advertisements to enhance the impact and create a memorable listening experience. These audio elements can help to set the mood, grab attention, and make the advertisement more engaging. Call to action. Radio advertisements often include a clear call to action, encouraging listeners to take a specific action. This can involve visiting a store, calling a phone number, visiting a website, or participating in a promotional event. Target audience. Radio advertisements are designed to reach a specific target audience. Advertisers consider the demographics, interest, and listening habits of the radio station's audience to ensure the advertisement resonates with the intended consumers. Another component is frequency and placement. Advertisers often run radio ads with a certain frequency to maximize their reach and impact. They may choose specific time slots or programs that align with their target audience listening patterns. Branding. Radio ads play a crucial role in building brand awareness and recognition. Advertisers use consistent messaging, jingles, or catchphrases to reinforce their brand identity and create a memorable impression on listeners. Radio ads provide business and organizations with a platform to reach a wide audience and promote their offerings. They leverage the power of audio to convey messages, evoke emotions, and drive consumer action. Well executed radio ads can be highly effective in raising brand awareness, generating leads, and influencing consumer behavior. Advertising often dictates that we do the clothes we wear, scooters we drive, soaps we buy, toothpaste we use, etc. Advertising is interwoven into our daily lives as the commercial breaks have become an integral part of the program fare. No wonder when a little girl went to buy a soap and the shopkeeper asked which brand she wanted, she replied, I can hum the commercial for you. Advertising has been identified as a paid form of impersonal presentation of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor by the American Marketing Association. Advertising is an activity that is aimed to creating awareness and thereby arousing interest in a product, a service, or an idea to elicit the desired sales responses from the target audience. It gives a competitive edge to the product by presenting it to prospective buyers in the most absorbing way possible. The marketing environment has undergone rapid changes as a result of the transition of the Indian economy from a controlled to free market economy, from protection to competition, from isolation to globalization, and from obsolescence to innovation. In the protected environment of the past, most Indian firms were operating in a seller market. However, the consumer today is better informed, more demanding, and choosy. In the villages too, there is change in lifestyle of rural folk and in their purchasing power. There is a spectacular brand proliferation over the years. For promoting new brands, awareness has to be generated and a favorable predisposition in the minds of the potential consumers has to be created. Established brands also need promotional effort to defend their position. Not prepared to take any challenges, business concerns are spending more and more on advertising through different mass communication media. Radio is a efficient medium taking into account its reach, tariff, and advertising options available to the advertisers. Radio has successfully adapted to a changing market on media scenario all over the world. In this in this topic, we are discussing that what is advertising and how it it is done in print media, it is done in TV, or it is another in radio. Specifically, we will discuss here in the context of radio. When it comes to radio, people are all ears. Radio is part of our everyday life at work, at leisure, at home, or on the move in the car. Radio serves as an accompaniment or to the rhythms of daily life. When you listen to radio, you are hearing in a one to one basis as if someone speaks directly to you. Many people have a close rapport with a radio personality to whom they listen faithfully. Radio also brings a wide range of sound effects to involve the listener's imagination in the script. People have transistor sets for personal use, which they can use even when they are outdoors. In the West, virtually every automobile is radio equipped, and drive time, morning as well as evening, is the peak audience period. Most of the radio stations and advertisers aim to capture a captive audience on the move during these listening hours. Radio ownership in India, the year 1999, was 43.6 million households, which came down to 38.6 million households in the year 2022. However, the advent of FM radio and community radio stations have led to a renewed interest in radio, and the ownership is likely to increase soon. The growth of the total advertising market in India has been remarkable. Of the total media outlay, the print media's share was 32.9%, while television concerned a share of 51.9%. Of the latter, cable and satellite accounted for 25.5%, radio 15.3%, cinema 7.4%, while the internet accounted for 0.1%. The advertising is normally handled by advertising agencies who specialize in media planning. The agencies help the advertiser in choosing the best channel and program to promote his or her product or brand to target the consumer. An agency performs other roles also, but media planning is vital role. Some of the top 10 advertising agencies in India are HTA, Lintas, Mudra, Oglive and Mathur Advertising. So here Advertising primarily involves conveyance of message that can influence the person who receives it. An advertisement for radio broadcast is known as commercial. A commercial is a group of words that creates a picture on the listener's mind to convey an effective message. The message can be commercial or public service oriented in nature. Commercial advertising. The Committee of Broadcasting and Information Media, popularly known as Chanda Committee, made specific recommendations in April 1966 for additional resources for expanding the network and improving programs. Advertising would be the most fruitful source of revenue. Advertising should be accepted under certain safeguards. All India Radio introduced commercial broadcasting service on 1st November 1967. Vivid Bharati, the light entertainment service of AIR, was considered suitable as the career of the commercial service. Gradually, commercials were extended to all the Vivid Bharati centers. Sponsored programs were introduced in May 1970. Commercials were introduced on 1st April 1982 on the primary channel of All India Radio before and after the principal news bulletins in Hindi and English. A major landmark in the growth of commercial broadcasting service of All India Radio was the introduction of commercials on the primary channel, which was kept outside the commercial ambit. From November 1995 onwards, commercials were allowed to be broadcast on the local radio. However, to ensure that advertisements are not jarring, obtrusive, and misleading, certain restrictions were imposed on the quantum of advertising content and also introduced a code for commercial broadcasters. The time available for commercials on Vivid Bharati is 10% of the total daily transmission time. The syllable time on average works to about 80 minutes per day or center. On the primary channel, the ad content cannot exceed 5%. A further restriction is that it should not exceed 20% of the duration of a chunk of film music, news bulletins, and popular programs like film music, news bulletin, especially the regional news and farm and home programs. Social advertising. Advertising reflects prevalent values of society, and the advertising industry capitalizes on those values. But when advertising tries to challenge and choose those values, the task is formidable. It is easy to sell products but not ideas. It is easy to ask someone to use a particular brand of soap, but it is rather difficult to convince someone about the necessity of taking a bath every day. Social advertising or public service advertising is more difficult than commercial advertising because it involves what in advertising parlance is called the marketing, selling pain rather than pleasure. Social advertising related to female literacy, dowry system, child marriages, and so on try to bring about attitudinal changes and behavioral modifications. The Directorate of Advertising and Visual Publicity DAVP, a government body, has contributed significantly to social advertising on a variety of themes as part of the multimedia campaigns. Voluntary organizations have also contributed to social advertising, exhorting people to stop smoking, look after the environment, or donate liberally for the cause of the destitute, the deprived children, or the aged. What is good public service advertising? The advertisement has to communicate an idea, it has to have a good feedback mechanism built into it. It has to be well researched and ideally it needs to be monitored for its effectiveness. Social advertising is not an end in itself but is only the means to attain tangible results. Pulse polio is a recent example of successful campaign. Vaccines were available, health workers were active, and parents were convinced. Social advertising can be successful only when people are given the opportunity to translate their concern into specific actions. Social advertising faces several constraints. A major hurdle is lack of adequate financial support. With media space becoming more and more expensive, corporate sponsors could be one way out. Some image conscious MNCs occasionally invest, but it is a sporadic effort. Yet another problem is lack of grassroots experience among advertising professionals to be able to conceive the devise effective social campaigns. Strengths and limitations of advertising on radio. The number of radio stations, formats, and audience segments create a list of options for the media planner and the advertisers. Radio provides the advertiser with the opportunity to attract a very narrow or a specific audience. Each station develops programming to attract different types of audience, and the advertiser can select the station that best matches the profile of his or her prime prospectus. Radio, like cable, is becoming a medium of narrowcasting because of his intense competition, especially from the television or other mediums. It is the lowest of all media. However, the cost of radio spot cannot be compared to magazine ad that can be read and reread at the convenience of the reader. With media other than radio, advertisers are often faced with dilemma of either reaching a wide audience less frequently or a smaller audience with more frequency. Radio, however, buys more frequency for the rupee without sacrificing reach, making it a well-rounded media performer for advertiser. For the advertisers, the efficacy of radio lies in the following areas. Targeting of specific audience. Radio offers demographically segmented audience, maximum target penetration, and minimum wastage. Cost efficiency. By cutting out target audience wastage, delivery costs are very low. Frequency, often the most important part of any media plan. More than any other medium, radio has the ability to build higher frequency of exposure to reinforce and drive home your message. Flexibility. You can change your radio plan on virtually day-to-day basis to match the consumer response. Listener loyalty. Unlike television, where people serve the channels constantly, consumers listen to it repertoire of only 2 to 3 radio stations and they stay with each one of for long periods. High advertising recall. Tracking research shows brand recall in radio advertising is exceptionally high. In addition, the creative execution does not divert attention from the brand name. Low production cost. Radio commercial cost a fraction of their television counterparts. For the cost of producing an average television commercial, you can have enough radio air time for complete campaign promotion. No other medium comes close to radio's promotional capacity. From on air competition and giveaways to live outside broadcast from your business location. Synergy with other media. Radio is the most effective means of reaching light users of the media or extending the frequency of high cost press, magazine, or television campaign. Day long cover. People listen to radio at home, in the car, at work, and while at leisure. You can reach your audience throughout the day and evening to build awareness and generate response. Despite these strengths, radio commercials suffer from certain limitation as well. Since radio is an oral medium, it cannot be used for showing styles of portraying new models. Trademark or package cannot be shown to a shopper so that he or she can quickly identify the product on the shelf. It is also difficult to use radio for direct response, a growing advertisement segment in other media. Taking down a phone number or address while driving is not conducive to high response rate. The lack of visual element obviously makes radio unacceptable for some advertisers. However, over the years, advertisers have developed creative techniques that overcome many of the disadvantages of this missing visual appeal. The need for creating a word picture which the listeners can see has inspired some of the most imaginative and ingenious writing for the radio. Radio provides a flexible medium to reach local markets that might be given too little advertising weight as part of the national media schedule. Radio can also reach non users of other media. It is a primary medium for teenagers, older people, and smaller ethno linguistic groups. Without radio, potential customers within these audience segments would be missed. When TV came upon the scene in the early 1950s in the West and in the 80s in India, it took away large chunks of the radio audience and the advertisers. But soon, radio managers realized that they could successfully adapt to changing marketplace and media scenario. So, types of radio commercials. Simplicity. The key in radio is to build around one central idea. Avoid confusing the listener with too many copy points. Use known words, short phrases, simple sentences structure. Keep in mind that the copy needs to be conversational. Clarity, coherence, rapport, pleasantness, authenticity, interest, distinctiveness, compulsion. Simplicity. We have already discussed. Now we will discuss clarity. Keep the train of thought on straight track. Avoid side issues. Use the active voice in simple sentences. Avoid adverbs, glitches, and ambiguous phrases. Delete unnecessarily words. Coherence. Be certain that your sales message flows in logical sequence from first word to last. Smooth transitional words and phrases for easier listening. Rapport. Remember, as far as your listeners are concerned, you are speaking only to them. Try to use a warm, personal tone as if you are talking to one or two people. Make frequent use of the word you. Address the listener in terms they would use themselves. Pleasantness. It is not necessary to entertain simply for the sake of it, but there is no point in being dull or monotonous. Strike a happy medium. Talk as one friend to another about the product of service. Authenticity. Every product has its good points. Tell the truth about them. Avoid overstatements and obvious exertion. Uh, Obvious hyper appreciation. They are quickly spotted and defeat the whole purpose of the commercial. Be straightforward. Convey the feeling of being a trusted friend. Interest. Nothing makes listeners indifferent faster than boring commercial. Products and services are not fascinating in themselves. It is the way you look at them that makes them interesting. Try to give your customers some useful information as a reward for listening. Distinctiveness. Sound different from other commercials and set your product apart from others. Use every technique, a fresh approach, musical face, particular voice quality or sound effect, or give your commercial its own character. Compulsion. Inject your commercial with feeling of urgency. The first few seconds are crucial. This is when you capture or lose the listener's attention. Direct every word towards moving the prospect closer to wanting the product. During the last 10 seconds, repeat your promise of benefit. Register the name of your product and do not forget to urge the listeners to act without delay. It's surprising how many commercials don't do this. In the next segment, we will be discussing that what are the advertising techniques and what are how to create effective commercials and how to develop advertisements and what is the use of advertising research. We will be discussing in the next segment of this topic. Social advertisements, also known as public service announcements or social awareness campaigns, are advertisements designed to promote social causes, raise awareness about social issues, and encourage positive behavior change within society. These advertisements aim to educate, inform, and inspire individuals to take action or support a specific cause. Here are some key aspects of social advertisements. First of all, it will be made on social issues. Social advertisements focus on wide range of social issues such as health, education, environmental conservation, po- poverty, gender, equality, human rights, substance abuse, and more. They aim to shed light on these issues and spark conversations within the society. Message and call to action. Social advertisements convey a specific message related to the social issue at hand. The message can be thought provoking, emotionally impactful, or informative. They often include a call to action, urging viewers or listeners to take a specific step or support a cause. Emotional appeal. Social advertisements often use emotional storytelling techniques to connect with the audience on a deeper level. They may evoke empathy, compassion, or concern to motivate individuals to take action or engage with the cause. Targeted audience. Social advertisements are tailored to reach specific target audience based on the social issue being addressed. Advertisers consider demographic factors, cultural contexts, and preferred media channels of the target audience to ensure effective communication. Public service organizations and non-profits. Social advertisements are frequently produced and disseminated by public service organizations, non-profit, agencies, or advocacy groups. These entities work towards social welfare and use advertising as a means to promote their causes and initiatives. Media channels. Social advertisements can be broadcasted across various media channels, including television, radio, online platforms, print media, and social media. The choice of media depends on the target audience and reach and impact desired. Partnerships and collaborations. Social advertisements often involve partnerships between organizations, celebrities, influencers, or public figures who align with the cause. These collaborations help amplify the message and reach a broader audience. Measurement of impact. The impact of social advertisements is often evaluated through various metrics, including reach, engagement, behavior change, or attitudinal shifts. These assessments help determine the effectiveness of the campaign and inform future strategies. Social advertisements play a crucial role in raising awareness, fostering social change, and mobilizing support for important social issues. By leveraging the power of advertising, these campaigns seek to inform, educate, and inspire individuals to make a positive impact on society. Commercial. A commercial refers to a promotional advertisement created by business or organizations to market and advertise their products, services, or brand. The primary objective of a commercial is to persuade and influence consumers to purchase a product, engage with a service, or develop a positive perception of the brand. Here are some key aspects of commercials. Branding. Commercials often focus on building and strengthening the brand identity of a company. They may incorporate the brand logo, tagline, or visual elements are in TV, but in radio, if we talk about branding, then that is voice, that is the content. Through content, there can be branding of the product. Product or service promotion. Commercials highlight the features, benefits, and unique selling points of product or service. They aim to convince consumers that the advertised offering can fulfill their needs, solve their problems, or enhance their lives in some way. Target audience, of course, commercials are tailored to appeal to a specific target audience. Advertisers consider demographic factors, consumers' behaviors, and preferences to create messages that resonate with the intended consumers. Persuasive techniques. Commercials employ various persuasive techniques to capture attention and influence consumer behavior. These techniques include emotional appeal, storytelling, humor, celebrity, endorsement, testimonials, and visual aesthetics. Creative elements. Commercials utilize audio elements. If we talk about TV, then there is audio visual, but if we talk about radio, then there is audio elements to create an engaging and memorable experience. This includes visual imagery, music, sound effects, voiceovers, uh, and text and content. The creative execution of these elements aims to leave a lasting impression of the listeners. Media placement. Commercials are aired on display through various media channels such as television, radio, online platforms. Here we are talking about commercial in general that can be of TV, that can be of any other platform on social media, cinema, and outdoor billboards. The choice of media placement depends on target audience, budget, and reach objectives of the advertiser. Call to action. Commercials often include a call to action urging consumers to take a specific action after watching the advertisement. This may involve visiting a website, making a purchase, calling a phone number, or visiting a physical store. Measurement of effectiveness. Advertisers measure the effectiveness of commercials through various metrics, including reach, like social advertisement, frequency, brand awareness, recall, engagement, and sales impact. These measurements help evaluate the success of advertising campaign and inform future strategies. Now, I will discuss that how to create commercial for radio. On the surface, it would appear that the writing of radio commercials would be the easiest of all advertising to create. All you have to do is to talk to one person in your audience you are trying to reach. Sounds very simple, but in reality, you have worked very hard to create a good advertisement. You have 60, 30, or 10 seconds in which you have to sell without pictures. Your tools consist of voices, sounds, and music to develop a meaningful message that will make listeners want to break their daily routine and listen to your message. That is quite a challenge, of course. Radio is actually very visual medium because there is imaginary potential. Radio's advertising creativity works through stimulating listeners' theater of the mind. Radio allows listeners to play in an active role by creating their own vivid pictures to accompany the message. Cleverly crafted and executed, radio commercials attain high recall value, recall levels. There are no concrete rules for creating effective radio commercials. The following guidelines may, however, be kept in mind. If your script is meant to be 45 seconds in length, prune it down so you can read it comfortably in 35 seconds or so. This will give your listeners the time to get involved, to use their imagination and create their mental pictures. Be relevant because work to make sure your script is directly related to the product or service. If there is no relevance, there is no gain. Do not confuse technique with idea. First, find a solid idea with strong visual content, then pick the execution technique, not the other way around. Whatever you write, make sure there is an element of surprise in it. Uh, Now I will discuss that how to develop, advertising in brief. To assist advertisers, writers, and producers, a creative brief is developed which should address at least following points. The problem the advertiser must solve, the current market circumstance that has given rise to the problem. In the light of the above, the primary promise of the consumer and the reason why this promise is made. The secondary promise is to the consumer and the reason why this promise is made. In a sentence, what do we want our new strategies to achieve? The nature of the target audience, brief summary of competitive advertising, mandatories. Now, what are that techniques? Advertising techniques. Basically, a medium of words, radio, more than any other medium, relies heavily on the art of writing a strong copy. Radio copywriters can choose among many proven techniques to give more meaning to the copy, help gain the attention of the busy target audience, and hold that attention for the duration of the commercial. Some techniques are straight announcer, two announcers, announcer and anchor, slice of life, testimonial advertisements, and customer interview, humor. Straight announcer in this commonly used and most direct of all the techniques. An announcer or personality delivers the entire script. Success depends both on the copy, on the warmth and believability, uh, trustworthiness of the person performing the commercial. Two announcers in this format. Two announcers alternate sentences or groups of sentences of the copy. The commercial moves at a fast pace and generates excitement. Announcer anchor. If the writer includes an actress's voice reacting to or supplementing the message delivered by the announcer, it reinforces the message. Slice of life. Write dialogues that reenact a true to life scene involving the listener in a problem that the product or service can help solve. Testimonial advertisements. A celebrity is used to endorse a product to increase the memorability of the commercial. Care should be taken to ensure that the celebrity does not overshadow of the brand communication. Common man endorsement can be also be effective. Customer interview. The announcer may not talk with professional talent, but with actual consumers who relate their favorable experience with the product or service. As a variation, the satisfied customers may deliver the entire commercial. Humor. Tastefully handled humor may be an ingredient in almost any technique. A slice of life scene can have humorous overtones, and even a straight announcer copy must be maybe written in a humorous vein. Humor is often appropriate for low price package products people buy for fun. Effective advertising is a combination of marketing strategy and creative communication. Bill Berubach, one of the well known copywriters in the world, says, I would not hesitate for a second to choose the plain looking advertisement that is alive and vital and meaningful over the advertisement that is beautiful but dumb. He emphasizes our job is to sell our clients merchandise, not ourselves. So it is well said that we have to sell our clients, merchandise, not ourselves. Advertising research. It is also very important aspect of advertising research. In advertising, research is used to develop an advertising strategy underlying a campaign and measure the campaign effectiveness. Information needs to be collected on the following questions. Who are the prime prospects for the product? Are prospects aware of the product? What medium do they use for information and entertainment? What appeal would be appropriate looking at their needs and expectations? First is pre-testing. Pre-testing techniques are used whenever a new product is proposed to be launched or a media strategy is required to be overhauled. Several methods are used to pre-test radio commercials. These involve questioning the respondents before and after the exposure to the test commercials. Pre-testing helps to improve and revise the commercial at the development stage. Post-testing. Once the commercial has been launched, post testing or summative evaluation is conducted. It aims to determine what awareness or attitude has been achieved and what impact the advertising has had on sales result. Aided recall, unaided recall, or day after recall techniques are used to measure penetration of an advertisement. Aided recall is a measurement technique in which respondents are aided with brands advertisement as cues. For example, do you remember hearing any commercial for Kisan Jam recently? So if you remember, that is what we try to, we try to know that how people are recalling the product. Unaided recall, that in aided recall, I took the name of Kisan Jam, but in unaided recall is a measurement technique in which respondents are not given cues. For example, can you recall any brand of jam being advertised in the last few weeks? So I have not taken the name of Kisan. I have not taken the name of any brand. I am just trying to make them recall of a product. Day after recall, research technique measures the amount of audience recall one day after exposure of an advertisement. So these are some techniques of research in advertising, how to do research. One is academic, like you are reading and you are watching advertisement, but this is the experimental based research that you are doing testing, pre-testing, post-testing, and then you will come to know that how people are liking, how people are recalling the brand. Advertisers often use several media vehicles for their advertising campaign. As such, a major difficulty is to isolate the effectiveness of the radio component of such multimedia campaigns. There are also measurement difficulties and pitfalls to guard against owing to certain aspects peculiar to the sound medium. The most pragmatic solutions to the problem of the measuring true radio awareness is to split the sample into two parts, listeners and non listeners. If the only difference between the two subsamples is their radio listening, then any difference in their awareness or attributes to the advertised brand can reasonably be attributed to radio regardless of where they think they have seen or heard the advertising. Experience suggests that actually advertising is an important and legitimate means for the seller to awaken interest in his her or product, but the success of advertising depends on public confidence. Hence, no practice should be permitted which tends to impair this confidence. The general principle which governs broadcast advertising is that it should be legal, decent, honest, and truthful. This principle applies to advertising in other media as well. Nevertheless, broadcasting, because of its greater intimacy within the home, gives rise to problems which do not necessarily occur in other media. It is therefore essential to maintain a consistently high quality of advertising or the broadcast media. Any advertisement likely to bring advertising into the contempt or disrepute should be avoided. The Advertising Standard Council of India formulated a code by which advertisers regulate themselves. The council is a body set up by advertisers, advertising agencies, newspapers, magazines, and other involved with advertising. The objectives of the code are to ensure the truthfulness and honesty of representation and claims by advertisements and to safeguard against misleading advertisements. To ensure that advertisements are not offensive to the generally accepted standards of public decency, to safeguard against the indiscriminate use of advertising for promotion of products which are regarded as hazardous to society or individuals to a degree or of a type which is unacceptable to society at large, to ensure that advertisements observe fairness in competition so that consumers need to be informed on choice of a marketplace and canon of generally accepted competitive behavior in business both are served. All India Radio, soon after the introduction of commercials, devised a code for commercials broadcasting. It prescribed the do's and don'ts for advertisers and advertising agencies. The advertising standards and practices prescribed by the code have been reviewed by All India Radio from time to time to ensure that the code keeps pace with the dynamics of social change and the more values of contemporary society. Advertising was upheld by the Supreme Court in August 1995 as a commercial speech, qualifying under the right to freedom of speech and expression. Instances have been found when advertising disregarded social responsibility or consumer listener sensitivity. Commercial. A commercial refers to a promotional advertisement created by business or organizations to market and advertise their products, services, or brand. The primary objective of a commercial is to persuade and influence consumers to purchase a product, engage with a service, or develop a positive perception of the brand. Here are some key aspects of commercials. Branding. Here are some key aspects of phone in programs. Audience interaction. Phone in programs encourage direct audience participation by allowing listeners to call in and express their views or ask questions live on the air. It provides a platform for listeners to engage with the host, guest, or other callers. Varied topics. Phone in programs cover a wide range of topics, including current affairs, politics, sports, entertainment, lifestyle, and more. The topics can be general or specific, depending on the focus of the program and the target audience. RJ and call screening. A host or presenter facilitates the phone in program and manages the flow of the calls. The host introduces topics, asks questions, moderates discussions, and ensure the program remains engaging and informative. Call screeners may also be employed to filter calls and select appropriate callers to go on air. Time management. Phone in programs require effective time management to accommodate a large number of calls. Within the limited duration of the program, the host must ensure each caller has a fair opportunity to express their views while maintaining a smooth flow of conversation. Audience engagement and debate. Phone in programs often foster lively discussions and debates among callers, allowing for diverse perspectives and opinions to be shared. This can lead to engaging and thought provoking conversations that enhance the listener's experience. Expert guest and interviews. Phone in programs may feature expert guests who provide insights, analysis, or expert opinion on specific topics. These guests can contribute to the discussions and provide additional expertise on the subject matter. Feedback and listener contributions. Phone in programs also serve as a platform for the listeners to provide feedback on previous episodes, share personal stories or experiences, or contribute their own knowledge and expertise to the discussions. Phone in programs are popular because they create a sense of community engagement, allowing listener to be a part of the conversation and share their perspectives. They provide an interactive and dynamic format that adds a personal touch to radio broadcasting, fostering a stronger connection between the audience and the programs. Radio bridge. This is another format of radio. In this context of radio broadcasting, a radio bridge typically refers to a technical setup or connection that allows for the transmissions of audio between two or more radio station or locations. It enables collaboration and the sharing of content, such as interviews, discussions, or live events between different stations or broadcasting entities. A radio bridge is often used when two or more stations want to simulcast a particular program or event, allowing them to broadcast the same content simultaneously to their respective audience. It can also facilitate the exchange of audio feeds, interviews, or live reports between stations, enhancing the diversity and variety of programming. The radio bridge setup typically involves the use of specialized equipment such as audio routers, codecs, or IP based systems to uh, establish a reliable and high quality audio connection between the participating stations. This ensures that the audio signals are transmitted seamlessly and in real time, maintaining the integrity and synchronization of the content being shared. Radio bridges are especially useful for large scale events such as music festivals, sport, sports events, or news conferences where multiple stations may want to cover the event and share the audio feed. It allows stations to pool their resources and collaborate, resulting in more comprehensive and engaging coverage for the listeners. Overall, a radio bridge enables the seamless transmission of audio content between multiple stations, promoting collaboration and content sharing in the radio broadcasting industry. Thank you.